Test, test, test. Alright, hello and welcome to what is hopefully going to be an updated version of a very long, very boring, very unintuitive video I uploaded a while back. Where we're taking avatars and characters made in Vroid and sending them over all the way into Source of Filmmaker and or Blender, depending on your preference. Of course, the process is still the same leading up to Blender, but after Blender is when we'll start getting into the Source Filmmaker side of things, which really isn't that much more difficult. It's just a lot of texture converting and writing a very basic QC file, especially for Vroid models, since they are not the most complex things in the world. Quite the opposite, in fact. I already have my main avatar character ready to go. He's already converted. He's good to go. So I don't need to touch him. We're going to be making a custom character for this video to kind of show how Vroid itself works. And then the following videos, and probably a little bit of the end of this one, will be getting set up and ready to go for getting everything over to Blender. There's a few ways you can do that. There's plenty of add-ons and programs out there. I will be linking all of the textures, custom items, and the single converter that I'll probably be using at the end of this video to start the process of conversion in the description. If they're not there, I probably forgot, just leave a comment telling me hey, you forgot the links, and I'll add them. And I'll add them as soon as I can. But we're going to create a new character, male, because I'm a guy, and making female character models is kind of not a good idea for me at the moment because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing with those. And just let it load up, and here we are. We got a very basic, very bland, very uninspired design. This is what we're going to turn into a very custom character. Like, it's going to have like every little custom thing I can do on it. But if you know Vroid better than me, which you probably do, don't know why you're watching this video if that's the case though, but if you know Vroid better than I do, you got more experience with it, go ahead and take this to the next level and make this the most awesome character you can. If you're just watching to see my personal process and see if there's something you haven't tried or haven't considered yet, cool, stick around. If you're just here for the end of the video, there'll probably be a timestamp popping up on the screen at some point throughout the video, at some point within the next minute or so, telling you what point in the video to go to get to know which program you need to start the conversion process. At least the way I do it, which makes the model easier to use in Source itself. It's not perfect, but it works. So of course, if you don't know what Vroid is or don't know what every single one of these are all textures. Like every single one of these on here is a texture file. Except for this. This is the shape keys that make your character happy, sad, or change the expression. These will be later. These are much later. These are Blender whenever it's there. But given the kind of character I want to make, which will probably become obvious as I'm making it, because I mean, knowing the YouTube algorithm gods, like they're going to be seeing a picture of a character and on the thumbnail they're going to be like, oh, cool, and they're going to downvote because it's not downvote or leave a mean comment because it's not what they thought it was. Like, read the titles, people. Read the titles in the descriptions. They're there for a reason. So, changing the face. I want a pointed but also slightly squared face for what I'm doing. This is all personal preference. This is all you. A lot of these are female because this is predominantly meant for female avatars. The only reason they have like a couple of the male ones is because it's a little easier. That's too cartoony. I'll come back and change that if I feel like I need to once everything else is added. Really, you don't need to touch very much on this very first page unless you really are that into it. And if you are, then you can literally just do all these sliders. Again, this is a very basic intro to Vroid. Like, this is probably gonna be the longest video in this short little series. But do not hesitate to spend hours on just the face. I would highly recommend it. Only reason my character looks the way he does back on this previous menu screen, the previous main menu screen, to select your avatar or make a new one is because that's just kind of how I like it. I like my more cartoony round faced characters. I think they're better looking. I think they just look better in the anime-esque style. Yes, I am a weeb. Sue me. You have preset eyes. I would not recommend using these ones, especially once we get over to Blender, because it's just going to be a pain in the butt later, because you're going to have like 20 million texture files you have to deal with, and the bones aren't going to work, and just go to the irises, go to custom, and make a custom eye set. That's what I did. Eye highlights, no. You don't want eye highlights. You want to actually go, yes, you want to go in, edit the texture you have, edit whatever texture you have here, and delete it. Get rid of the highlights. Get rid of the highlights, forget about it. This is the only texture file on the eyes that you should be screwing with, as far as getting it into Blender is concerned. Because you will have different bones for different textures, and the eyes are no exception. You will have a bone for highlights, and you'll have a bone for the irises. I do not recommend that unless you are a sadist, or you just know Blender better than I do, which is probably the case. So, first things first, we're actually going to go up to our friend's face here, just so we can see it on the actual model itself. Now, the character I'm making with this will become, again, hopefully very obvious as I make the character, but we're going to actually remove the current one. We're going to add a custom one. Now, you probably can't see this, but I have a bunch of custom eye textures from a pack I bought. If I can find the pack again, I will leave it a link in the description. Otherwise, literally any eye texture of your choosing from the Booth website, which I will leave a link to as well. Yeah, do that. Like that is your best bet. I'm going to see what I can find that is the closest to the color of amber in my eye textures. Now, for those of you who may not... Now, why amber? Because I think it's a cool color. Yeah, well, okay, there we go. Here, we'll use this one. It's not quite amber, but it works. Now, we're actually going to make a new layer, and we're going to find... Actually, we're going to delete. We're going to actually add another texture. This time, we're going to find the closest thing to soul pitch black that we can find. Or who knows, make it yourself. Now, the only reason these are here is because we're going to turn one of these off. We're going to go back to our main red and yellow one, red and amber one here. And if I can find it on here, I know there's an eraser option. Ah, there it is. If we can do the eraser, we're actually going to... Well, that's not the one I want to get rid of. We're actually going to get rid of this one. We're going to get rid of the eye on this side. Very simple as to why, because I'm making a heterochromic character. Now, we're going to do the same, but with this side. So now, when we turn both of them on, we have a custom heterochromia. And this works with any eye texture. You can literally use the default eye textures or make your own custom one using the exact same method. It's that simple. Now, we're actually going to end up making this eye pitch black. Trust me, I have a reason. Now, I'm not the greatest in the world when it comes to textures, so pardon me, but... Oh, it's still on black. Okay. Then we're going to do a little that. Really? Ah, there we go. Ah, okay. Bring that down just a little bit. Let's see here. Can I? Yeah, there we go. Again, I'm not the greatest in the world when it comes to eye texture. This is literally just an example. Like, if you, I know you could, those of you who are probably watching this are probably universes better than I am when it comes to this. So we're gonna undo all of this, redo that. That's probably about as good as I'm going to get it for now. Again, there are people who are way better at textures, obviously, because the one I made compared to the one I downloaded from somebody else is drastically different. Granted, I want it to be basic because this is based off of the eye texture. The eye texture used for the FNAF animatronics in the first Five Nights at Freddy's games when they are in a dark room, which is pretty much the entire game, where they have that white pupil just staring at you from the void. That's what this is supposed to be. It's not perfect. This is literally just a, hey, here's what I do to get a model prepped for how I want it to look. Now, you can also, of course, change everything else in here. You can change the Scarla. You really don't need to unless you want black Scarlas. You can just make that black. This for that. I mean, a lot of this can be changed in other parts of the program with just basic color change, but since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and change the face. Skin color. Again, you probably can't see what I'm doing off camera here because the OBS doesn't let me do like multiple record, because as long as I can record multiple things on OBS, I don't want to. My computer doesn't like that. So I'm just going to do very quickly grab a new texture. Oh yeah, the color calibration, turn that off, especially if you're doing custom textures. It just helps. And there we go. Face is pretty much done. So exit, override. It'll tell you that it made new items anyway. That's fine. It's kind of what you want anyway. Now, this is done. Face is done. Face, eyes, and all that is done for now, at least for me. Again, you can spend a lot longer doing this. I'll probably come back in between this and the conversion part of the next video, and we'll handle that there. Hair. This is where the fun begins, because you get to pick hairstyle, and you can pick the color. I would highly recommend that you go ahead and do just grab the base hair, change the color to whatever you want. I want a nice dark red. And then we're going to color this. We're going to grab it. We're going to go ahead. We're going to go here. We're going to select. Now we're going to do this. Go back. Yeah, great. And we're going to go ahead and grab this. Grab that. Okay. So, not the perfect thing in the world. So instead, we're just going to go ahead. We're going to just change this to the red that I want. There we go. Now, this is the part that I hate with this program. And that's because this part takes the longest because it's always the most fun. I hate it because it's fun. It's the only reason. We're going to keep the orange highlights because I think that looks nice. Bangs, 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 bangs. You can make custom hair. It kind of works. I'm probably going to do that for the back because I have a certain way I want to do the back, but there is a set of bangs I want to use that's preloaded. I think it's that one, actually. Yeah, that one. how I want to do his hair later. Again, the back does have a lot of presets too, but the specific type of preset that I want, I think only works with, yeah, that's ponytails, that, yeah. So this is going to be a custom back here. And you can customize the hair. I'll do that in a second. But the sides, I want the long, sharp ones. There we go. This will make sense in a minute, I'm sure. Yeah, there's not a custom, like, I mean, there is, but it's not quite what I want. Uh. Well, yeah, that kind of works. He's gonna make the hair longer, though. Yeah, maybe this one? No, I think I'll go back to what I had originally. And then I'll just grab the extensions again, side extensions again. There's extras if you just want the extra little flare, which I think I want that, just going the other direction because it's cool. And then because this is a random character, I'm just going to throw whatever I can on here to show that this all does go over to source eventually. And now we can go to the back, we can do custom, we can create a new hair. We can edit hairstyle. And this is where things get wild. Now, oh, wait, nope, I want to get rid of that, actually. I want this one because it's longer. Now, grab the brush and make your hair. Now, I'm just gonna grate the width a little bit. That one was a little wonky. There we go. This is the part that I think takes me the longest personally. Yeah, I want that middle part to kind of really hang out there. I want this to come out like that. Alright. I'm going to stick with that. That's really just kind of what I wanted to do, is just get a custom bit of long hair, just none of the more feminine ones. Make it as masculine as I can, because we're going to be throwing a lot of crap on this guy. Now here's where you can customize the height. This is the part where things get a little wild. I know I just said that for the hair, but this is the part I think a lot of people are going to spend most of their time in because you just have so many options. Just like the hair, you can change the size of body parts and their chest, and only female characters need that. I don't know why you would do that on the male, but that's up to you, my friend. Go for it. Adam's apple, I don't really do that part. I mean, there's a lot of stuff over on this side, and you can have the height. Like, this is just the base height. I mean, honestly, Foxy is a bit tall, or he's gonna be a bit, so we're just making 200 centimeters flat, and we're just gonna go from there. And yes, I did say Foxy, because this is, again, based off the Five Nights at Freddy's series. This is my take on a human Foxy, so get used to it. So get used to hearing that name a lot going forward for the rest of the video. The clothes is really something you're gonna have to really kind of know what your character's themed on before you really touch any of this. Like the hair is probably gonna take you long. The face will take you a while. The eyes probably part of that. The outfit really is probably gonna be the most tedious because you have to either make a custom texture, or you have to buy and or download for free, depending on which one you use off of Booth or someone else if you're provided one by a friend. When it comes to this, I mean, granted, they do have a lot of presets you can mix and match and modify and whatnot, and they have ways you can make, and you can also make your own custom ones, which is what I do. Some of these are like these black ones and all these pure white ones that you can probably hardly see. Thanks, YouTube. Probably ain't gonna be too big on you, but we're gonna go ahead and import a custom file. We're gonna open this up, import, and just hope it works, because I don't know where it now. Let's see. Let's see. Go in here, edit texture. Remove this. And there we go. Now, this does not fit the actual texture of the character himself. It is much more realistic than the cartoony style I'm going for. So, we're going to put this on the back burner, and we're going to see if we can't make a custom texture file. Now, we have the means to make somewhat piratey themed clothes. Again, Vroid does come with some presets that you can use. It just takes a bit, especially if you have multiple programs open. There we go. That looks better. That I can handle. I just realized one thing on the body I forgot to do was give him a custom texture. So we're going to edit his current texture, and we're just going to make it the same color as his original. So we're going to remove his entire body texture for a second, and we're going to go in here, go into my custom texture files, and we're going to change his body texture. Thank you, world, for making this easy. And there we go. Now the body and the face all have the same texture. Go save as new item, override, whatever one you want to do. Either one works. There we go. Done. Now, we're going to go to bottoms. And there's really not very many piratey themed bottoms, sadly. So we're going to have to go based on what we think looks the best. And I'm thinking, because this is custom, I want belts. I want a lot of belts on the guy. I'm curious, do they have a pre-existing pirate set? Because if so, that'll make this whole process a little easier for all of us. No, this got a lot of dresses. Yeah, that works. Ties, don't really need that. Arm accessories, well, we don't really need that because our arms are covered here. Inner top, bottoms, socks, and shoes. Here we go. Do we have pirate boots? We do have pirate boots. Now, here's the part where things get a little wild. You're gonna have to really, you're gonna have to really work with these. And we're gonna make this 200. Oh, nope, a little too much. 150? No. 110. Hmm. There we go. There's the proper boots for this outfit. Cool. Oh, right. Gotta go back to the body. We're gonna re-edit the texture that we have, and we're gonna add something. We're gonna add a new layer. Give Vroid a minute. It's thinking. There we go. Now, as you'll notice, we have a little bit of a fun texture here going on. We got little markings and stuff that kind of make it almost robotic, and that's good. It's actually what we want because we're gonna try to mimic Foxy's hand from, well, not his hand, his hook from the games. That being said, I need to figure out which side is which. Okay. Never mind, I found it. There we go. Oh, and his neck. We're gonna remove that off of his neck too, just to save some problems later. And now we're going to make his hand. I want to see if I can get like somewhat of a metallic color. And then we're just gonna go and we're gonna try to do his hand. And this, oh, I see. I've got to do it on his actual hand. Just gonna get up in there. We're just gonna mark this entire like hand area just with. And there we go. Now we have a prosthetic hand for our Foxy. And that's all I really want to do here. That's not going to do much otherwise. The only other real thing we can do now, since the model is now basically done, I don't know how you grew an extra centimeter there, but stay. Outfit, done. Accessories, it's really not much. I mean, not really the ears we're looking for, but I mean, we can modify this. make this the same color as the rest of them. Face. I think that's a custom texture. I don't know. Or actually, let me check my files. I'll get right back to that. So I want to give him a knife patch, but I also don't. So you know what? We're just not going to bother. And there's a Foxy, all said and done. I do recommend you save the character. As a Vroid model. Save. And you can kind of use a custom editor that's in here, or kind of a model viewer that's inside of Vroid to really get an idea of what your character is going to look like actually in motion. The animation 1 set is female predominantly, so animation 2 is male. And it gives you an idea just kind of how the character is going to look in motion. Because we're using a preset costume for the character made by Vroid, provided by Vroid themselves, we don't have to worry about texture clipping, which is nice. I would recommend for your first model to try to use as many pre-made assets as possible before you really delve into that customizing part. But that is ultimately your decision. I'm just here to kind of give you a basic breakdown and kind of show you how this process works, getting the model ready. So, now that we have our model and he looks decent, he's not perfect. He's probably going to end up in the trash after this series is done, but we'll see. If people end up wanting to keep Foxy around, I don't know. Maybe I'll do the rest of the FNAF crew like this. Freddy will probably be the easiest. I mean, you just give him a brown vest, a bow tie, and a top hat, and then you're good to go. And you don't really have bear ears, but I mean, yeah, that's it. Foxy's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to export as a VRM. This is where the conversion process begins. Again, I will leave a link to the program itself in the description. I recommend you just kind of leave all this by itself. Don't make anything more complex than you have to. I mean, that's a lot of polygons. That's a lot of bones. That's fine. You won't even need like 30, like most of this when you go to Blender. Blender and by extension, what we'll use to convert from Blender to Source will be basically simple. Export. Title is the model's name. So there we go. Because why not? Your name or your username or whatever your Steam name is, depending on if you want to ever upload and make these kind of models public, if you make them for a friend or whatever, and you want to make it in your friend or whoever says you can make it public to the rest of the Steam community, by all means. It'll ask you to save the model again, so I highly recommend you just go to where you already keep your models. I keep mine on a separate desktop folder. I will show you that in a minute when I go over and get the program ready. And now we're good. Foxy's exported and we're good to go. So I'm going to close out of Vroid here. And I'm going to close out of Vroid. I'm going to open up my desktop and we are going to get all set and ready to go for our next program. Just give me 1 minute and I will have that ready. Let me just turn that off. We are going to open up a new display capture. Yes. Yes. Okay. Sorry. It's taking me a minute to get this all set up. Okay. This is Vroid to PMX. This is going to be where you send everything. So I have Foxy here in VRM form, so we're going to give him his own folder. We're going to throw his VRM in here. We're going to go into there. We're going to make another folder. We're going to name it Foxy again. And then we're going to throw that. We're actually going to keep the VRM here for now. It's not ideal how I normally do it, but just for the sake of it. And then MMD folder. This is where your PMX file is going to go. So, Vroid PMX, again, I'll leave a link to this program in the description. Don't worry about the Japanese, it's really simple. Press this. Find your VRM file. Get the export where you want it to go, and then press this button. It will take a minute because it's basically stripping down all the textures and the polygons to make it compatible with the Miku Miku Dance program, which we're really only using the PMX file format to make it easier to get into Blender. We're not actually going to be using Miku Miku Dance itself unless you prefer that editor, the editor for that program. I personally don't. I think it's too complex. I would rather use Blender itself or Vroid if it ever gets updated with more accessories and animal-like features like wings and stuff. Not likely given the nature of VRM models, but we are going to not bother. And there we have it. Now we have all of our textures ready to go for Blender. Now, of course, I'm not gonna bother with this for the next video. But cheek dye and all these eye textures that are in your Miku Miku Dance text file folder, get rid of those. Just get rid of them. You do not need those. Those are going to cause more problems than they are unless you are better at Blender. If you don't know Blender any better than I do, or this is literally going to be your first time screwing with it, there you go. Just get rid of those six or so textures, and you're good. Now, we're going to, before I log out and am done for the day, we're going to go over to Steam. We're going to go to Blender, and I recommend the Steam version. I recommend the Steam version of Blender. Right-click, manage. Oh, wait, no. Right-click, properties, update betas, and 2.79b is the version you're going to want. Other than that, you are good to go. Your model is prepped and ready to go for Blender. So I will see you when I am able to record that video. Have a good day, and I will hopefully not have to go over this again too much in the next video, but if there is some confusion, just let me know in the comments, and I will try to correct it in the next portion of this video.